Professor Dr. Manoj Kumar has written various research papers in the various field. This paper is published in the Indian Journal of Finance and Economics, Volume 1, Number 2, 2020, page number 119, 160. The paper title is Investigation of Whether and to what extent credit rating directly affect capital structure decision. This paper investigates whether and to what extent credit rating directly affect capital structure decision. The motivation for this study begins with the observation that incorporate financial measures care about credit rating. Graham and Harvey 2011 find that credit rating are the second highest concern for CFOs when considering debt insurance. The paper outlines discrete cost and benefit associated with firm credit rating differences and tests whether concerns for these cost and benefit directly affect financing decisions. Using two distinct measures, firms are differentiated as to whether or not they are close to having their debt rating change, then controlling from for firm specific factors. Test examines whether firms that are near a change in rating issues less debt over a subsequent period when compared to a control group. Results show that concerns about upgrades or downgrades of bond credit rating directly affect managers' capital structure decisions. Firms near a change in credit rating issues retire annually up to 1.5%, less more debt relating to equity as a percentage of total assets than firms not near a change in rating. Peer evidence suggests that credit ratings affect asset valuation in the financial marketplace. This paper takes the next step and analyzes to what extent they are significant in capital structure decision making. Keywords are the credit rating, capital structure, Indian industry, financial decision, debt, insurance, transport. This paper examines to what extent credit rating directly affect capital structure decision making by the financial manager. The paper outlines the reasons why credit rating may be relevant for managers in the capital structure decision process and then empirically test the extent to which credit rating concerns directly impact managers' debt and equity decisions. The paper also examines how these findings complement existing capital structure theories such as the pecking order and trade-off theories, and specifically how credit rating factors can be included in the empirical test of capital structure theory. The initial empirical test of this paper examined whether capital structure decisions are affected by the credit rating. Using two distinct measures, firms are distinguished as being close to having their debt downgraded or upgraded versus not being close to a downgrade or upgrade. The controlling for firm specific factor, this paper tests whether firms that are near a change in the rating issues less net debt relative to net quality over a subsequent period when compared to the control group. This paper finds that concerns about upgrades or downgrades of bond credit rating directly affect managers' capital structure decision making. Firms near a change in credit rating issues retire annually up to 1.5% less more debt relative to equity as a percentage of total assets than firms not a near a change in the rating. Firms with a credit rating denoted with a plus or minus issues less debt relative to equity than firms that don't have a plus or minus rating. And when firms are ranked within a specific rating based on credit quality determinants, the top third, lower third of the firms within ratings also issues have debt related equity than firms that are in the middle of their individual rating. The results don't appear to be explained with traditional theories of capital structure. and thus this paper enhanced the capital structure decision theoretical and empirical framework. This is the first paper to show that credit rating directly affect capital structure decision making. The influence of credit rating on capital structure is economically significant and statistically robust. The relationship is apparent whether the dependent variable reflects debt and equities to insurance issuance or debt issuance only, and whether control variables are included. The relationship holds when both the OLS regression approach is used for continuous capital structure dependent variables and when a logit regression is used to examine binary capital structure choices. The relationship holds for both large and small firms and for firms at several credit rating levels. After the initial test in the paper established these facts, subsequent empirical tests nest credit rating factors into previous capital structure tests, such as those in Fama and French 2012 and Sham and Sundar and Mayers 2009. Dummy variables indicating firms are near a change in rating remain statistically significant when nested in the capital structure empirical test of both of these papers. The motivation for this study begins with the observation that corporate financial managers care about credit rating. Graham and Harvey 2010 find that credit ratings are the second highest concern for the CFOs when considering debt insurance. When asked what factors have how they choose the appropriate amount of debt for the firm, Graham Harvey found that 57% of the CFOs said that our credit rating as assigned by credit rating agency was important for very important financial flexibility was the only category higher with 59.4% and therefore credit ratings ranked higher than many of the factors suggested by traditional capital structure theories such as tax advantage of interest deductibility. Graham and Harvey also indicate how the survey results support or contradict various capital structure theory. In this discussion, the credit rating results only appears where they argue it might support the trade-off theory. Credit rating can be viewed as an indication of concern about distress, argues that to extend credit rating are a measure of the financial distresses. The large effect of the capital structure on the rating helps explain to some extent why firms are under levered, as argued by the Graham 2010, for example. The arguments and results of this paper are in most cases distinct from financial distress arguments. The empirical test examine firms that are near both upgrades and downgrades, and the results are apparent in both instances whereby firms near both an upgrade and downgrade issues less debt than firms don't near a change in the rating. This behavior of for firms near an upgrade is inconsistent with distress arguments but consistent with credit rating effects. This paper also includes variables in the empirical test that control for the financial condition of the firm to account for distress concern. Credit rating effects are also examined for firms at the all rating levels, and the results are consistent across the rating spectrum with significant credit rating effects at the A rating level alone, for example. Although this is the first paper to examine the direct effects of the credit rating on capital structure decision, significant research has been conducted examining how credit rating affect stock and bond valuation. Hand, Howson, and Lebowitz find statistically significant negative average excess bond and stock returns upon the announcement of downgrades of straight debt. Edgar and Yovitz and West find that credit ratings are significant predictions of yield to maturity beyond the information contained in publicly available financial variables and other factors that would predict spreads. Eddington and Go show that credit rating downgrades results in negative equity returns and that equity analysis tend to revise earning forecast sharply downward. Following the downgrade, they further conclude that this action is a result of the downgrade itself, not to earlier negative information or contemporaneous earning numbers. Thus, evidence exists that suggests credit ratings are significant in financial marketplace. This paper takes the next step and analyzes to what extent they are significant in capital structure decision making. The rest of the paper is organized as follows. In section 1, this paper provides explanation for why credit rating might factor into managerial capital structure decision. In section 2, this paper details how credit rating concerns complement existing theories of capital structure. Section 3 contains general empirical test of the impact of the credit rating on capital structure decision. And section 4 contains specific tests that nest credit ratings factors into empirical test of traditional capital structure theories. And section 5 concludes a specific hypothesis for the significance of the credit rating. The fundamental hypothesis of this paper is that credit rating are a material consideration for managers in making capital structure decisions due to discrete cost benefit associated with different ratings levels, henceforth referred to as the credit rating capital structure hypothesis or CRCS. The primary testable implication of CRCS considered in this paper is that concern for impact of credit rating changes directly affect managers' capital structure decision making, whereby firms near a rating change will issue less net debt relative to net quality than firms not near a rating change. This section describes the specific reason that credit rating might be significant in capital structure decision. Regulatory effect. Several regulations on the financial institutions and other intermediaries are directly tied to credit rating. Cantor and Baker observe the reliance on the rating extend to virtually all financial regulators, including the public authorities that observe banks, thrifts, insurance companies, security firms, capital markets, mutual funds, and private pensions. For examples, banks have been restricted from owning junk bonds since 1936, Partoni 2019, and West 2013, and in 1989, saving and loans were prohibited from investing in junk bonds such that they could not be held any junk bonds by 1994. Regulatory agency determine capital requirements, for instance, for insurance company and broker dealers using credit rating as a scoring system. Since 1955, insurance company investments in securities of firms that are rated A or above get a value of 1. Firms that are BPB get a value of 2, BB get of 3, B a 4, and C level gets 5, and any D rating gets 6. In 1975, the SEC adopted Rule 15C31, whereby the SEC used credit rating as the basis for determining the percentage reduction in the value haircut of bonds owned by broker dealers for the purpose of calculating their capital requirements. To the extent that regulations affect the cost to investors of investing in a particular bond class, yields on bonds with higher regulatory cost will be higher to compete with bonds that have lower regulatory cost. Ceteris paribus. Also, to the extent that demand curve for bonds is downward sloping, placing a restriction on certain investors participating in a particular bond market will cause the yield to increase in the market. Therefore, through a firm itself may not have any higher risk of default, it may be required to pay a higher interest on its debt merely as a result of its credit rating. Pooling effects. Credit ratings may provide information on the quality of a firm beyond publicly available information. Rating agency may receive significant sensitive information from firms that is not public, as firms may be reluctant to provide information publicly that would compromise their strategic programs, in particular with regard to the competitors. Credit agency might also specialize the information gathering and evaluating process and thereby provide more reliable measures of the firm's credit worthiness. Millen and Thakur propose a model for the existence of information gathering agency, such as a credit rating agency based on the information asymmetry. They argued that credit rating agencies are formed to act as a screening agents, certifying that the values of the firms that approach them. Both Milborn and Seminars argued that rating agency could be seen as information processing agency that may speed up the dissemination of information to financial markets. A credit rating can therefore act as a signal of overall firm quality. Firms should then pool with other firms in the same rating category, where in the extreme all firms with the same rating group would be assessed similar default probabilities and associated yield spreads for their bonds. Thus, even though a firm may be a particularly good BB, for example, its credit spreads would not be lower than credit spreads of other BB firms. Firms that are near a downgrade in rating will then have an incentive to maintain the higher rating. Otherwise, if they are given the lower rating, even though they are only a marginally worse credit, they will be pulled into the group of all firms in that worse credit class. Likewise, firms that are near an upgrade will have an incentive to obtain that upgrade to the pooled with firms in the higher rating category. Previous empirical literature has argued that rating convey information. Ilton, Gruber, Agrawal, and Menon examined rate spreads on corporate bonds by rating and maturity from 1987 to 1996 and conclude bonds are priced as if the rating capture real information. Edrington, Yavich, and Roberts find that creating ratings are significant predictors of yield to maturity beyond the information content in publicly available financial variable and conclude that rating apparently provide additional information to the market. Market segmentation. Different classes of investors for different markets distinguished by credit rating may create unique supply and demand characteristics that would result in yield spreads diverging in different markets. Further, these different groups of investors may have different trading practices that may increase or decrease the liquidity in these respective markets. Colin, Defiu, Goldstein, and Martin argue the dominant component of monthly credit spread changes in the corporate bond market is driven by local supply demand shocks. West 2013 notes bonds not in the top four setting categories had yields consistently above those that were predicted on the basis of earning variability, leverage, and so forth. This suggests that spreads on bonds distinguished by credit rating could diverge enough from what is implied by traditional factors alone to the significant for managers' capital structure decision. Rajan et al. 2015 find that liquidity effects, whether junk bonds experience abnormal positive or negative returns. If firms incur higher interest rates in less liquid markets distinguished by the credit rating, there may be an incentive to avoid these rating levels. Also, at certain credit rating levels, junk bond levels during difficult economic times, a firm may not be able to raise debt capital. Firms should therefore incur additional cost from having that credit rating. They may have to forego positive NPO projects due to their inability to finance projects at those times. For example, third-party relationship. Credit rating may materially affect relationship with third parties, including the employees of the firm. suppliers to the firm, financial counterparts, or customers of the firm. For example, firms entering into long-term supply contracts may require certain credit rating from their counterparty, and entering into swap arrangements may require a certain rating. Third-party relationship arguments are in some ways similar to arguments made in the financial distress literature. However, CRCS apply to financially strong firms as well, where perhaps A rating is important for third-party relationship versus AA rating. Additionally, credit rating effects imply discrete costs associated with a change in rating, whereas the financial distress literature implies continuous changes in cost as firms increase their probability of bankruptcy. Rating triggers. Firms may be concerned about credit rating since triggers may exist for changes in rating. For example, bond convergence may be directly tied to the credit rating of the firm, forcing certain costly actions to be taken by the firm given a downgrade. Stone, Dud and Poor's recently surveyed approximately 1,000 US and European investment grade issues and found that 23 companies show serious vulnerability to rating triggers or others contingent calls on the liquidity, whereby a downgrade would be compounded by provisions such as a rating triggers or covenants that could create a liquidity crisis. For example, Enron faced 3.9 billion in accelerated debt payments as a result of a credit rating downgrade. Further, the survey showed that at least 20% of the company surveyed have exposure to some sort of contingent liability. Managers' utility. Management's own maximization of utility may make credit rating material for capital structure decision. Look at how the incentive for managers to build a reputation can affect investment decision for that manager. For example, if a manager wishes to change jobs, it may be a disadvantage to come from a junk food rated firm, or it might be an advantage to have worked at an AAA rated company. If credit rating affect a manager's reputation, managers may target a higher credit rating than might be optimal for overall firm value. Negative credit rating developments may also have negative consequences for a financial manager with regard to this job security or compensation. Likewise, positive news, an upgraded to AAA may be considered positively in compensation decision. Credit rating in the context of the existing capital structure theory. This section examines how CRCRS complements current capital structure theory, especially the trade-off and pecking order theory. This paper set forth empirical implication of this theory and considers generally how credit rating concerns might be integrated into these models. Trade-off theory. The trade-off theory argues that a value maximizing firm will balance the value of interest, tax shields, and other benefits of debt against the cost of the bankruptcy and other cost of the debt to determine an interior optimal leverage of the firm. An implication of the trade-off theory is that a firm will tend to move back toward its optimal leverage to the extent that it departs from its optimum. CRCS states that different credit rating levels have discrete cost benefit associated with them. If this cost is material, managers will balance the cost benefit against the traditional cost and benefits implied by the trade-off theory. In certain cases, the cost associated with a change in credit rating may then result in different capital structure behavior than implied by the traditional trade-off theory factors. In other cases, the trade-off theory factors may outweigh the credit rating considerations. To illustrate these points, consider the change from investment grade to junk bond status. If there is no discrete cost related to credit rating, a firm may face the situation depicted in a figure A. This graph depicts firm value as a function of leverage and illustrates a trade-off between the benefits and cost of the higher leverage. A firm value maximizing manager in this situation will choose the leverage implying a firm value shown as the point T. Now consider a firm that faces a discrete cost benefit at the change from investment grade to junk bond status due to credit rating effects. Further assume that the optimal leverage as implied by the trade-off theory is a leverage that would have caused the firm to have a high rating within junk food rating, e.g. BB plus rating. A firm in this position will choose a smaller leverage than implied by traditional trade-off theory factors to obtain an investment grade rating. This is depicted in figure 1b. The benefits from the better rating outweighs the traditional trade-off theory factor benefits remaining at T. The optimal capital structure considering only traditional trade-off effects. C is the new optimum considering credit rating effects as well. Figure 1b also illustrates how a firm at C near a downgrade will be less likely to issue debt relative to equity to avoid a downgrade. Likewise, a firm at the lower rating slightly to the right of the C near an upgrade to the higher rating will be more likely to issue equity relative to debt to obtain the upgrades. Figure 1C and D depicts cases where trade-off theory effects outweigh CR/CR effect. As the firms are not near the change in the credit rating, figure 1C depicts a firm whose firm value maximizing leverage as implied by the trade-off theory implies a high rating of the firm. If the only change in the credit rating level associated with the discrete cost benefit is the change to junk bond status, a firm with a high rating is not affected by the potential credit rating cost. Figure 1D depicts a firm with an optimal leverage as implied by the trade-off theory that implies a credit rating that a low rated junk. In this case, the firm choose to stay at that rating because there are benefits to be obtained by achieving an investment grade rating for them. The cost imposed on the firm of moving so far from the trade-off optimum may more significant. Figure 1E shows a more complete depiction of the trade-off theory combined with credit rating effects by showing several jumps. Here it is possible that the credit rating effects will be relevant for a firm of any quality, but once again depending on how near that firm is to change in the rating. The graph shows one example where credit rating effects credit an optimum that is different from trade-off prediction alone. Similar graphs can be depicted where firms choose a different optimum as a result of any potential credit rating jump from A to A. Note that firms that are somewhat farther away from a downgrade will have less concern for a small offering of the debt. However, these firms will still be concerned about the potential effects of a large debt offering, since a large offering could create a downgrade for them. Likewise, firms that are relatively far from an upgrade may consider a large equity offering to get an upgrade. However, they would be less likely to issue a smaller equity offering versus that very close to an upgrade. This distinction will be significant in empirical test of CR/CS. Pecking order theory. The pecking order theory argues that firms will generally prefer not to issue equity due to asymmetric information cost. Firms will prefer to fund projects first with internal funds and then with debt, and only when internal funds have been extinguished and a firm has reached its debt capacity will a firm issue equity. The pecking order model implies debt will increase for firms when investment exceeds internally generated funds, and debt will fall when investment is lower than internally generated funds. The pecking order predicts a strong short-term response of leverage to short-term variation of earning and investment, in contrast to any concern of reverting to a target level. CR/CS implies that for some incremental change in leverage, a discrete cost benefit will be incurred due to the credit rating change. Assuming that for some level of leverage, both CR and CS and packing order effects are material, a firm will face a trade-off between the cost of the issuing equity versus the discrete cost associated with the potential change in the credit rating. This conflict will exist most strongly for firms that are near a change in rating, near to an upgrade as well as downgrade. Therefore, contrary to the implication of the pecking order, in some cases, firms that are near an upgrade may choose to issue equity instead of debt in order to obtain the benefits of a higher rating, and firms that are near a downgrade may avoid issuing debt to prevent the extra cost that result with the downgrade. Empirical test of CRCS. If discrete costs are associated with a credit rating downgrade and discrete benefits are associated with upgrades, firms near a change in rating may make different capital structure decisions compared to other firms with consideration for those cost benefits. Firms that are close to being upgraded or downgraded may issue less debt relative to the equity or simply less debt to avoid a downgrade or increase the changes of the upgrade. See appendix for an illustration. The main empirical test examine this implication. The dependent variables in the regression that follow as a measure of the amount of debt or equity raised for a binary decision variable indicating a choice between debt and equity. Since this paper concerned with the credit rating, the book value of issued equity are used as these are the variables credit rating agency and emphasize. The book value measures are also under the direct control of managers and therefore directly reflect managerial decision making. CRCS directly predicts capital structure decision over a subsequent period based on the credit rating situation a firm faced at particular point in time, whereas CRCS has less direct implication regarding the absolute level of leverage or debt for a company. As such, the dependent variables in the test reflect changes in debt or equity or a discrete decision to issue equity or issue debt. This is distinct from some test of the capital structure that may imply certain levels of average for a company based on company factors or other measures. Being close to a rating change is measured in two ways. For the first measure, the paper defines broad rating, age rating levels including the minus, middle, and plus specification for a particular rating. E.g., a broad rating or BBB refers to firms with a rating of the BB plus, BBB, and BB minus. This paper distinguishes firms as near a rating change of their rating is designated with either positive or negative. With a broad rating and not near a rating change, if they don't have a plus or minus modifier within the broad rating, they are in the middle of the broad rating. For example, within the broad rating, BB, BB minus, and BB firms are defined to near a rating change. Firms that are BB are not. Tests using this measure are designated plus or minus. An advantage of the board rating measures is that it should accurately reflecting being near a change in rating since the rating themselves are used to distinguish firm. A disadvantage is that distinction might be too broad, which would reduce the precision of the test. For example, a strong BB minus firm may not be near a downgrade within the BB broad rating, and likewise, a weak BB firm may not be near an upgrade. A second disadvantage is the broad rating measures assume managers care more about a change in broad rating than a change in positive negative rating. For example, firms in the middle of a broad rating might reasonably be concerned with the upgrades or downgrades to a plus or minus category. This will increase the noise in this test. For the second measure, this paper defined micro rating as a specific rating that include a minus or plus modification of given. Thus, the micro rating of BB refers only to the BB firms as opposed to the BB positive or BB negative. And the micro rating of, for example, BB negative refers only to the BB negative. The second measure takes firms within each micro rating and ranks them within that rating based on the factor that tend to indicate credit quality for this. This paper computes a credit score for each firm that assign a credit quality value to each firm based on the firm data used by the rating agency, such as a debt equity ratio, interest coverage, etc. With weightings determined by regressing rating on these factors. This paper separates firms within each micro rating and into a high third, middle third, and low third ranked by their respective credit scores. Firms that are in the high or low third of a micro rating then considered to be the near a change in the rating, whereas a firm in the middle third are not. Test used this measure entered the credit score test. An advantage of this measure is that if the credit scores are the measured correctly, the test group of firms should be very close to a rating change, which should increase the precision of this test. The measure will also account for all potential rating changes, thereby rectifying potential problems with the previous measures. The disadvantage of this measure is that the measurement of the credit scores will be noisily in themselves, and this may reduce the power of the test. Credit rating dummy variables are created for firms at the end of the each calendar year, and the firm's capital structure decision measures are computed for the subsequent 12 months. A complicating factor in these tests is that debt and equity insurances and reductions have material transaction cost, and as a result capital structure changes are lumpy and sporadic. For example, there may be several years where managers are not undertaking offering of any kind for a firm. Furthermore, the credit rating situation for a firm could change during the middle of a year, making the credit rating measure at the beginning of the year inaccurate. Lastly, capital structure transaction also requires time to execute, so there may be significant lag from a decision being made to a time it appears in the data. The beginning sample is all firms with a credit rating in compu state at the beginning of the particular year. The credit rating used is a standard and poor long-term domestic issue credit rating. Compu state data number 280. This rating is the firm's corporate rating, which is a current opinion on the issuer's overall capacity to pay its financial obligations. Prior to 1998, this was referred to as firm's implied senior most rating. The sample period is 1986 to 2001. 1985 is the first year that rating is available in computer state. This paper also excludes financial companies and utilities. SIC codes 4499, 6699, consistent with other capital structure literature. And Frank Goel, this paper also excludes firm years where the firm has missing data in the fields required regularly in the calculation of the test in the paper. For the majority of the empirical test, this paper excludes large offerings from the example generally defined to a net offering during the year that exceeds 10% of the total asset. The exclusion of the large offering is made for several reasons. The decision to conduct a large offering is like to have the same rating consequences for all firms. That is, a change in the debt or equity greater than 10% of the total asset is likely to cause a change in rating for all firms, regardless of where they are in the rating. As a result, there should be no distinction among the different credit rating groups for these types of offerings, so including them would make the results noisier. Also, large offering might be associated with acquisition, reorganization, or the changes in management, and it is less likely that credit rating changes will be significant in these concepts. Lastly, CRCS implies that firms not near a change in the rating will conduct fewer more large debt equity offerings conditional on conducting and debt equity offering of any kind than firms near a change in rating. See the appendix for a simple model showing the result. This effect could result in firms near a downgrade, for example, conducting more large debt offering than firms in the middle, even though they conducted fewer offerings in total. Since the dependent variable is a continuous measure of the capital issuance, including large offerings could therefore confound the results. This paper considers restriction on both large debt and equity offerings, as well as restrictions on large debt offerings only. Since equity offerings involve large transaction cost, they happen less frequently and are on average larger. The characteristics of equity offering is distinct from changes in debt that can occur more frequently. Also, large debt issue as opposed to large equity offerings more typically encompass some of the events described above, such as a reorganization due to financial distress. Thus, including large equity offerings may not have some of the undesirable effects of including large debt offering. When both large debt and equity offerings are excluded, this restriction excludes approximately 60% of firm years. And if only large debt offerings are excluded, this restriction excludes approximately 40% of the firm years. This paper conducts robustness checks of these restrictions. For the empirical test obtained in this section and the following section, some of the more commonly used notation is defined as follows. For national convenience, INT subscripts are suppressed for credit rating. DIT book long-term debt plus booked short-term debt for the firm I at time T. Delta DIT long-term debt insurance minus long-term debt reduction plus changes in current debt from I and I time to T plus 1. Delta LT DIT long-term debt insurance minus long-term debt reduction for firm I from time T to T plus 1. EIT book value of shareholders equity for firm I at time T. Delta EIT sale of common and preferred stock minus purchases of common and preferred stock of firm I from T to T plus 1. AIT beginning of the year total assets for firm I at time T. CR plus dummy variable for firms that have a plus credit rating at the beginning of the period as described above. CR minus dummy variable for firms that have a minus credit rating at the beginning of the period as described above. CRPM CR plus plus CR minus dummy variable for firms that have a minus or plus credit rating at the beginning of the period as described above. CR high dummy variable for firms that are in top third of their macro rating with regard to the credit score at the beginning of the period as described above. CR low dummy variable for firms that are in bottom third of their macro rating with regard to the credit score at the beginning of the period as described above. CRHOL, CR high plus CR low dummy variable for firms that are in the top or bottom third with regard to their credit score at the beginning of the period. KIT set of control variables including debt, total capitalization, and total assets is the computer state data item for 13. The factors are the lagged values calculated at the end of the previous year or for the previous year where appropriate. Summary statistics. Summary statistics for the sample are shown in table 1 and 2. The sample contains 6906 Indian firms years. Table 1 shows statistics for debt to total capitalization ratio by credit rating within the sample, and it also indicates the number of firms year by rating. Table 2 shows the capital rating and reducing activity within the sample. The debt to total capitalization ratio have the expected relationship to rating. For example, the top 4 credit rating have median debt to the total capital ratios ranging from 90% to 33%, whereas the bottom 4 credit ratings have median debt to total capital ratio ranging from 66 to 72%. It appears that the levels for debt to total capitalization of AAA firms are inconsistent when compared to the AA firms. However, AAA firms are on average significantly larger than AA firms. AAA firms have median total assets of $17.1 billion compared to AAA firms with median total assets of 5.6 billion. And size is a significant determinant for credit rating as well as leverage. The variance within each rating for the debt to total capitalization ratio are generally high, indicating that although a relation exists between debt to total capitalization and rating, the potential for differences within each rating is significant. Table 1 indicates the sample seems relatively well distributed by rating, although the range is from 65 A++ firms year to the 897 B+ firms. 10 of the 17 rating category have been 250 and 60 firms years. This demonstrates that the empirical results in this paper will encompass credit rating as a whole. This is the tables on table 1, table 2. Within offering of the table 2 shows that nearly 40% of the sample rise debt only for the firm year compared to less than issuing equity. Here the plus test or the minus test. Table 3. Robustness checks. Table 4 of the credit rating. Investment grade versus junk bond rating change. Credit score test. Results by rating. Credit score and POMA test. Packing order test. Trade up theory test. Table 11. This is the conclusion. This is the appendix. This is the references. The research paper is complete of the Professor Dr. Manoj Kumar. Thank you.